In 1943, the United States built the P-51 Mustang. It was the Cadillac of the skies. It cost roughly $50,000 to build. You could produce them in a car factory, fix them with a simple wrench, and if one crashed, you just built another one. Fast forward to today. This is the F-35 Lightning II. The sticker price for a single jet is roughly $100 million. But that is just the entry fee. When you factor in research, development, maintenance, and the specialized hangars required just to house it, the total program cost is estimated at $1.7 trillion. To put that number into perspective, for the price of the F-35 program, you could buy Amazon. The entire company, not just the trucks, but the warehouses, the data centers, and the brand itself. Instead, we bought a fleet of jets. And here is the terrifying part. Despite spending more money than any empire in human history, the United States is finding itself on the wrong side of the math. In the Red Sea, the U.S. Navy is currently firing $2 million SM-2 missiles to intercept suicide drones that cost $2,000 on the black market. That is a cost asymmetry of 1,000 to 1. If this were a business, it would be bankrupt by lunch. But this is Defense Incorporated. Welcome to the trillion-dollar burn. Let's break down exactly how we got here. War used to be a contest of manufacturing. Who can build more tanks? Who can forge more steel? But modern war is a contest of technology versus poverty, and poverty is surprisingly efficient. Take the M1 Abrams tank. It is a beast of engineering. It weighs 70 tons, has composite armor, and costs about $10 million to put on the field. It is designed to be invincible against other tanks. But today, it isn't fighting other tanks. It is fighting a guy hiding in a bush with a drone he bought online. For $500, you can strap an explosive charge to a hobbyist drone and fly it directly into the engine intake of a $10 million tank. From a financial perspective, the tank doesn't even have to be destroyed. If it's damaged enough to need repairs, the enemy has won. They spent $500 to force you to spend hundreds of thousands in logistics to drag that tank back to a repair depot. We see the same problem with aerial defense. Look at the Iron Dome system. It is a marvel of technology. It has saved countless lives. But let's look at the receipt. A Tamir interceptor missile costs roughly $50,000. The rocket it is shooting down, maybe $500, made of welded pipes and sugar-based fertilizer fuel. Every time the system activates, the defenders lose money. The attackers can fire cheap rockets all day long. They can afford to miss. The defenders cannot afford to miss, and they cannot afford to keep shooting forever. This is the Asymmetry Trap. The U.S. military has built a force designed to fight a mirror image of itself, another high-tech superpower. But in reality, it is fighting enemies who use our own budget against us. We are trying to kill mosquitoes with a sledgehammer made of gold. So why don't we just build cheaper equipment? Because the cost of the weapon is actually the small part of the bill. The real money, the trillions, is burned in something much more boring. Logistics. Amateurs talk about strategy. Professionals talk about logistics. In 1945, the U.S. Navy did something that perfectly encapsulates American military doctrine. The war in the Pacific was brutal. Morale was low. The heat was unbearable. So the Navy commissioned a unique vessel, a concrete barge. It had no guns. It had no armor. It had no strategic value. Its sole purpose was to manufacture ice cream. This floating factory could produce 500 gallons of ice cream every shift. It had storage for 2,000 gallons. It was towed across the ocean, protected by destroyers, burning fuel, just to deliver a cold treat to sailors. Why? Because America could. It was a flex. It signaled to the Japanese forces that while they were starving, the Americans had so much excess capacity they could industrialize dessert. That mentality never left. During the conflict in Afghanistan, the U.S. military created the most complex supply chain in the history of the world. Imagine trying to build a fully functioning American city in the middle of a landlocked mountain range, surrounded by hostile forces. We didn't just bring bullets. We brought Burger Kings, Subway sandwiches, gyms with air conditioning, and high-speed internet. But everything runs on fuel. To get fuel to these remote bases, it had to be shipped into Pakistan, loaded onto trucks, and driven through treacherous mountain passes where convoys were regularly attacked. By the time a gallon of fuel reached a generator at a forward operating base, it didn't cost $3. After factoring in the security contractors, the lost trucks, the bribes, and the transport, the Pentagon estimated the fully burdened cost of fuel could reach up to $400 per gallon. $400. When you leave a Humvee idling for an hour to keep the AC running, you are literally burning a stack of cash. That is why the budget is in the trillions. We aren't paying for war. We are paying to maintain a first world lifestyle in a third world war zone. Now, you might think, okay, logistics are hard, I get it. But there is a darker reason for the cost, and it happens right here at home. It's called the cost-plus contract. In a normal market, companies compete to lower prices. If Ford makes a car too expensive, you buy a Toyota. But in defense, there is no Toyota. There is only Lockheed, Raytheon, Boeing, and a few others. The government often uses cost-plus contracts. This means the government agrees to pay the manufacturer for all the costs of production, plus a guaranteed profit percentage on top. Think about the incentives here. If you are the manufacturer, do you want to be efficient? No. If you lower your costs, you lower your profit base. You are financially incentivized to make things complicated, specialized, and expensive. This leads to madness. A few years ago, it was revealed that the Air Force was buying heated coffee cups for its cargo planes. The price? $1,280 per cup. Why? Because the handle was made of a specific plastic that required a specific mold, and when the handle broke, you couldn't just glue it back. You had to buy a whole new cup from the certified supplier. We have seen $10,000 toilet seat covers on the C-17 Globemaster. We have seen simple metal washers costing hundreds of dollars. This is the gold plating of the military-industrial complex. It is a system designed to extract maximum wealth from the taxpayer, hidden behind the shield of national security. So, is it all a scam? Is the trillion-dollar budget just a bonfire of vanity and corruption? It is easy to say yes. It is easy to look at the waste and feel angry. But there is one final, uncomfortable truth. War is the most expensive thing humans do. But the only thing more expensive than winning a war is losing one. The United States pays a premium for overmatch. We pay for the ability to fight anywhere, any time, with overwhelming force. We pay for the logistics that allow us to eat ice cream while the enemy eats dirt. It is inefficient. It is corrupt. It is insanely expensive. But until the world becomes a peaceful place, this is the price of admission. The question isn't whether we can afford to pay it. The question is, how long until the credit card gets declined? This is Defense Incorporated. Class dismissed.